quarterback Colin Keapernick sent a letter to all NFL teams notifying them that Keapernick will be opting out of his contract. A source confirms to ESPN's Adam Kaplan, as first reported by NFL Network. Keapernick had until 7 days before the new league year to opt out. And on that note, we bring in our friend Tom Waddle to the desk. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
Good to see you again.
Good.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing, Tom? Good. Good.
Max, I want to start with you.
Yeah.
If you were a GM, would you give Cap a chance?
I might, depending on which GM, if I needed a quarterback. He played okay last season, but more than that, we've seen him at one point in his career make Jaws, right here on this network, say that guy might wind up being the best ever. Now, of course, that prediction didn't pan out, but to inspire that in knowledgeable viewers means that he was capable and had been playing at a very high level, and in fact, came one excellent Richard Sherman play away from making it to back-to-back Super Bowls. He's still in his physical prime, ostensibly, right, if you look at the number in terms of his age. And now that people realize, maybe don't try to force him to be something he's not because of this desire to make him even better than he ever was. Let him just do what he does well. Well, when he was doing that, he was actually better than most. So, yeah, if I was a team looking for a quarterback, absolutely I'd give him a shot.
I would not. Been there, done that, and I was very high on Cap. Maybe not as high as Jaws was, but I thought there was a time when he had the possibility of being the best young quarterback in the National Football League. It wasn't just what he could do with his legs on the edge of the pocket. He played the position from the pocket exceptionally well. But that's where the game is right now. When they pin you in, you have to be able to play the game efficiently from between the tackles. And I haven't seen that from Cap. And if you sign Cap, you're going to have to design your offense to fit what he does well. And I'm not so sure that he can function efficiently enough in the pocket at this point for you to take that chance and turn your franchise over to him. If you're bringing him in to be a backup and someone that is there in case you have an injury with your starting quarterback, that's something that you may think about. But I don't bring him into my franchise and develop my system around him at this point.
I'm with Tom on this. If you're talking about a backup, fine. If you're talking about him as a starter, hell no, twice, 3 times over. It ain't happening. He's 3-16 in the last 2 seasons as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. He has not completed at least 60% of his passes. He's not an accurate thrower. He's not a winner. He hasn't been getting it done. And on top of it all, he appears distracted. You know why. You bring all of that attention to yourself, and then you fail to answer the bell. Now, the 49ers collectively are an absolute mess. Blame Ned York and the now departed Trent Baalke for that, no question, even more so than Chip Kelly. But nevertheless, the bottom line is that Colin Kaepernick was a part of that. With all of that stuff going on, with all of that dysfunction permeating through that franchise, what do you decide to do? You decide to be a bigger distraction and an even bigger hypocrite by making all of that noise, getting on one knee, elevating the ire of half the nation, and then turning around and acknowledging that you don't even vote. So not only is your ineptitude a problem, your attitude and your willingness to address these issues while not producing is a bigger problem. But then on top of it all, you end up being a hypocrite on top of all of that. It reeks of distraction. It simply ain't worth it. So if he's a backup, that's fine. But a starter, I'm not evolving my franchise around him. I
don't think you need to stake your franchise's future to him necessarily, but if you're looking for a quarterback, he's not old, he's not expensive, you'd think. And he's done it before. When you say he's not a winner, Stephen A., yeah, he is. I mean, you know, is he going to elevate a team? Maybe not. But he actually elevated a little over Alex Smith, right? I mean, Alex Smith didn't get to the Super Bowl. He did, and almost
4 years ago.
And
4 years ago, that was 1 year.
He's under 30. He's inexpensive. He's done it before. His record is bad recently because he's on a bad team. When he was on a good team, he certainly didn't hinder their chances.
Well, they were a good team, Max, when they went 8-8. They went 8-8 the next year with Jim Harbaugh.
Would I stake my team's future to Colin Kaepernick? This is our quarterback of the future? No. But if I'm looking, and he might be the best available option, absolutely.
This is a backup.
Yeah, as a backup. This is a football decision for me. As Stephen was talking about some of the things that are perceived to be a distraction, the litmus test for me is always, is the juice worth the squeeze? Will you be willing to deal with what is considered to be a distraction as long as that player is playing at an exceptionally high level? I think the biggest distraction of all is somebody who does something away from the game that jeopardizes that person's ability to play on Sunday. I don't see that as a problem for Cap. The problem for me, investing time and money in Colin Kaepernick,
you're saying you don't think he's going to be a problem off the field?
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I don't, but I just don't think he's going to be a difference maker on the field for you. So for me,
What's your definition of a problem? Last time I checked, listen, you have a radio show, a very successful radio show in one of the great sports towns in America, in Chicago. Max and I are here on national television. I got my radio show as well. What do we talk about when we talk about athletes? It's not just their on-field performance, which in Colin Kaepernick's case ain't that damn impressive over the last 3 years, but we also have to take those other things into consideration and ask ourselves, if we're an executive, if we're an owner, if we're taking into account the potential impact.
You know, he changed his representation. That could potentially behind him. We don't know if he learned his lesson. But
let me ask you a question,
Molly.
All right, Molly. All right, Molly. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that half of America who aimed their eye in Colin Kaepernick's direction, do you think they put it behind him?
I think some might if he balls.
I would actually
I think playing well covers up all sins. And I think if you're a team that's in desperate need of a backup, the man can play. We saw him have a good game against the Bills.
Wow. If he was performing the way he did against the Green Bay Packers in that playoff game, where he ran for almost 200 yards, threw for 300 yards, none of what he has done would be considered a distraction. When he can no longer develop the on-the-field results like that, now it becomes an issue that I think 32 franchises in the National Football League will have to make.
Exactly. And you're right if you think that. But if you're a team, if you're the New York Jets, Molly referenced it earlier, if you're the New York Jets, Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith, whoever, you look at their recent quarterbacks, are those guys better or worse than Kaepernick? Now, you could say Fitzpatrick had a really good year the other year, so even a kind of like career backup, sometimes starter type may be better than Kaepernick. I don't know, not really. I mean, Kaepernick, when he has quarterbacked good teams, has, again, won a lot of games and gotten to a Super Bowl. Like, you know, he's not holding those teams back.
We'll leave it on that.
I agree with, like I said, I agree with Tom. If he was a star, that would be different. He ain't a star anymore. Those distractions are going to count. It's going to matter.
You are the one who always says it's the land of second chances, Stephen A. Tom, you're staying with us.
I'm just telling you the people. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the people. That's how they are. That's how they are.
Acquire Kirk Cousins. The answer from someone at the desk may surprise you. Russell Westbrook has now done something that even Michael Jordan never did. We'll tell you what that is after the break. Has been deserted. The New York Jets informed the cornerback that he's being released, ending his second tenure with the team. He clears about $9.3 million on the Jets' 2017 salary cap. It also comes 11 days after he was charged with 4 felonies, including aggravated assault stemming from his alleged role in a street fight in his hometown of Pittsburgh. Revis releasing the following statement on Twitter. I can't thank Woody Johnson and the entire Jets organization enough for taking a chance on me in 2007. I played some of my greatest football in green and white. Jet Nation has always been behind me and teammates. Without all of you, there would be no Revis Island. I love you, New York. Bittersweet, Darren Woodson. Just like your experience on this show is regularly. How
bittersweet. You're right about that.
Right?
Sweet during the regular season, bitter during the playoffs.
There you go, Max. Bring it on up.
I do like the tie.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We don't want to get your mic messed up.
Okay.
As you get that adjusted, I'm going to focus on you, Max.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. What do we think about Revis? Is he done?
Revis Island is done. But that's been done. Who didn't know Revis Island was done going into the season? He was over the way Peyton Manning in his last season was no longer Peyton Manning. Derek Jeter was no longer Derek Jeter. Kobe Bryant was no longer Kobe Bryant. 60-point last game notwithstanding. Revis going into the season, you know, that dude is gone, never to return. Yeah. But is he done?
What about Revis Light? Is
he done as an NFL player? Look at how the game is played nowadays. All 4 of the final 4 offenses were operating at peak effectiveness with 5 guys spread out in pass routes, right? Like, that's how it is. So you need as many guys as possible in your defensive backfield who can cover. So can Revis have value? Would you take a flyer on him as your 4th corner? Or whatever you want to call that, right?
Or does he move?
Yeah, he's still an NFL player. He's just not the Darrelle Revis that we've all come to know. That guy is gone never to return. But he's not done as an NFL player if he's willing to play for less money.
That's it. Is he willing to play for less money? If he's willing to play for less money, yes, he'll have someone. Listen, someone's going to call during training camp because they're going to lose a corner here and there. And Revis is not a guy that's probably going to go through an entire training camp. You don't need him to do that. But I still think there's something left in the tank. I think Max is right. Is it Revis Island? No. And it hasn't been for the last 2 years. But he's a guy that can come in as a veteran player and teach a lot of young corners how to play this game. And what's made Revis such a great player is not his athleticism. It's his ability to work you at the line of scrimmage. He's a technician. And he can teach a lot of young players that same technique. I think the guy still has something left. He will be on the roster somewhere. It's just, will he accept the money that's thrown his way?
Well, first of all, to address Darren's point about the money, consider the fact that even though Darrelle Revis is not going to receive the $2 million bonus he was scheduled to receive if he were on the roster, they still owe him $6 million. because of the guaranteed contract that he signed. The $70 million, about $39 million was guaranteed. They owe him $6 million for 2017 anyway. So he's still getting that money. So when you're talking about Darrelle Revis saying accepting less from somebody else, it would be less on top of the $6 million that the Jets still have to dole out to him, even though he's not going to be playing for them, according to the reports. Now, to answer the question directly, is Revis done? I would tell you, yes, he is done. And here's why I would say that he's done. Because if the reports are true, and they seem to be, because they're coming from everywhere, he didn't want to play football anymore. And when you're at that level on the NFL, I'm showing deference and respect to the Darren Woodsons of the world and others. You know a gazillion times more than I could ever hope to, Darren, how tough it is to play this game. When you don't want to play, not only are you somebody who shouldn't be playing, you shouldn't be around those who are playing. Because if you don't want it for you, how are you going to want it for them? I'm not saying forever, but I do think that it's reached a point where we have to look at Darrelle Revis, and what we need to gauge first is the intestinal fortitude and the pride that he has inside that chest of his in order to bring something out to remind everybody you don't want to go out this way. But if you don't care because you made over $100 million from the Jets alone, because you have secured your future monetarily, and you've lived up to that mantra of being the mercenary that you were known to be, if you're that dude and you're content, then you have no place around football for the immediate future, and the Jets will have done the right thing by lacking sentimentality and deciding to let you go. Revis is Revis. We know one Revis, and that was being an elite corner. So when we ask the question, is he done? Of course he's done, because he's no longer seen that way, and it's primarily due to the fact that he no longer wants it, according to numerous reports from numerous individuals who...
Quarterback Colin Keapernick sent a letter to all NFL teams notifying them that Kaepernick will be opting out of his contract. A source confirms to ESPN's Adam Kaplan, as first reported by NFL Network. Kaepernick had until 7 days before the new league year to opt out. And on that note, we bring in our friend Tom Waddle to the desk. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
Good to see you again.
Good.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing, Tom?
Good, good.
Max, I want to start with you.
Yeah.
If you were a GM, would you give Cap a chance?
I might, depending on which GM, if I needed a quarterback. He played okay last season, but more than that, we've seen him at one point in his career make Jaws, right here on this network, say that guy might wind up being the best ever. Now, of course, that prediction didn't pan out, but to inspire that in knowledgeable viewers means that he was capable and had been playing at a very high level, and in fact, came one excellent Richard Sherman play away from making it to back-to-back Super Bowls. He's still in his physical prime, ostensibly, right? If you look at the number in terms of his age. And now that people realize, maybe don't try to force him to be something he's not because of this desire to make him even better than he ever was. Let him just do what he does well. Well,